Welcome to Pick Up and Deliver, the podcast where I pick up my audio recorder as I head out for a walk and deliver an episode to you while I stroll around. I'm Brendan Riley. Well, hello listeners. It's a lovely day here in suburban Chicago. It's November 1st already. Yowza. It's been a busy couple weeks at my work, and just with different things going on in my life, I kind of fell out of having time to record the podcast for a bit there. So we had an unplanned 2-week break. I did publish one episode yesterday that I recorded back in mid-October, and then finally just got around to posting. And now it's November already. So I guess if you're listening to this later or catching back up, there was like a top of the stack, then like 3 episodes, now we're on the next top of the stack. But so be it, that's how it is. We're back to November. I'm gonna have to really record a lot if I wanna finish the season by the end of the calendar year, which is usually my goal. I suspect I won't manage that. So probably this coming year, I'll be doing like I did last year and finishing this season in the first month of the new year. But we'll see how that goes. So it is November 1st today, and thus it's time for the November 2023 Top of the Stack. For those of you new to the podcast, Top of the Stack is an episode that I do once a month where I talk about the last month's gameplays and look forward to the next month's gameplays. I have a metaphorical stack of games that I want to play, and I discuss how well I did at clearing off that stack last month and how well I'm going to do, or what games I want to have on that stack for the coming month. It's fun. I think it's fun. Maybe you don't, in which case, check out the next episode, but hopefully you do. It's also leaf dropping season around here in suburban Illinois, so if you're hearing crunching, it's because I'm walking on leaves. It's also gotten a bit colder. It was cold enough for Halloween last night that I'd built a fire in a brazier in my driveway, and I'm now wearing hat and gloves, along with a more wintry jacket to celebrate the cold weather. Woohoo! All right, so let's just jump in with some stats. In October of 23, my monthly stats, I played 62 plays of 41 different games last month, bringing my total plays to 819 for the year of 273 different games. My shelf of opportunity started the year at 55. It started the month at 64, and it went up to 65, despite the fact that I checked a number of games off, but I also acquired some new games, hence kind of treading water on that. The collection size, however, started the month at 571 games and dropped to 558. So I have gotten rid of quite a few games. I'll talk about that in a bit. My most played game this month in person was Fuji Flush with 3 plays, and my most played online was Through the Ages with 5. So to start off with October's top of the stack, the 4 games I put on the list were Last Friday, A Touch of Evil, Hunted Woad Ridge, and Vagrant Song. And I did manage to get Last Friday and A Touch of Evil played. I learned Vagrant Song, but we discovered it's a campaign game, and so it threw off our plans to play it a little bit because we were going to play it with my mother-in-law, but playing a campaign game with her doesn't make a lot of sense because she's not here often enough to make it worth doing the campaign. So that got messed up, and I did not get around to playing Hunted Woad Ridge. So there, 2 out of 3. As a reminder, if you're brand new, I always put 4 games on the stack, and it's considered a successful month if I play 3 of them. So, all right, I did have some first plays this month. These are new to me games. I played 5 Minute Mystery Last Friday, Telestrations Upside Drawn, Gravwell 2nd Edition, Kingsburg, and the 1-play Hunt-A-Killer game, Death at a Dive Bar. Now, I've never played a 1-play Hunt-A-Killer game before, so I'm calling that that's my first play of those. If I play another Hunt-A-Killer game in the future, I will call it an expansion, because that's how I handle those. So like if I play an unlock game now, I don't call that a new game. I call that another unlock expansion. But that was my first Hunt-A-Killer game as far as I can remember. I did not try any expansions this month, and I dusted off a few games. I'll put these in reverse order. The least dusty game, that's honorable mention. My family played Broom Service, and looking up, I had not played it. It had been 364 days. So 1 day short of a year, which means technically Broom Service was not dusty, but close enough. So I just want to mention it. That one wasn't dusty. However, I did dust off The Loop, which had been a year and 10 months. Voluspa, which had been a year, 11 months, 6 days. A Touch of Evil, which is a year, 11 month, and 10 days. And then here's some bigger leaps. Fuji Flush, which had been 6 years, 4 months, and 9 days since I had played. Last time I played that was at Origins Game Fair in 2017 when I first played it, and I thought it was pretty fun and I wanted to pick it up, and I finally did get a copy. Then the game Gloom from Atlas Games, which is about placing transparent cards on other cards. Last time I played that was 8 years, 2 months, and 20 days ago. So it's been a little bit of time. And finally, one of my students brought one of their favorite games to the board game club that I run at my school. And so we played the game Set. And I haven't played Set since before I was recording my gameplays. And so I had to estimate. And I believe the last time I played Set was in grad school with my roommate who liked that game, which would be more than 15 years ago. That's an estimate. I certainly have played it since that. More than 15 years suggests that I have played it since grad school. I think I have, but who knows? But 15 years is probably a good estimate. So that brings me up to 56 games dusted off this year, not counting Broom Service because that's an honorable mention. So my daughter commented to me, "Not doing so hot in that 10 by 10 challenge, Dad." She's right, I'm not. My original plan, as you'll remember, is that I picked out 10 designers and I wanted to play each of their games 10 times, or I wanted to play games by them 10 times each. And I've been tracking both in-person and asynchronous plays. On the asynchronous side of things, I'm actually doing surprisingly well. I have completed 10 plays online of Vladimir Suki game, Rainier Knizia, Inca Brand, Tom Lehman, and Carl Chudik. I've got 9 plays of Martin Wallace, 6 from Phil Walker Harding, 8 from Elizabeth Hargrave, 8 from Vlada Chvátil, and 8 from Uwe Rosenberg. So I'm really close to having a 10 for 10 online plays of those designers. So I'm definitely going to try for that in the next 2 months. I've got 39 real life plays of games by those 10 designers. So I think my new goal is to have 50 plays total of those 10 designers. Now, one way I could do it would be to try to have 5 of each, but I think that's unlikely to work. And so I'm going to aim for 50 total and, however they work out. That'll mean I have more Vladimir Suki plays of games by him than by Elizabeth Hargrave, but so be it. But that's kind of where I am with that. My H index this year so far is at 12. I have 12 games I've played at least 12 times each. That is Through the Ages, Res Arcana, Frosthaven, Matainai, Gaia Project, My City, Arkham Horror LCG, Ark Nova, Applejack, Great Western Trail, Quicks, and That Time You Killed Me. So I'm enjoying all of those. All right, trucking along. Next up, we've got my 52 game challenge. So as you'll remember, the 52 game challenge is a list on Board Game Geek. It's a challenge that someone had created where there's 52 different prompts, and you're supposed to try to do a play of a game in each prompt that fits what they're trying to do. As of the end of September, I think I had 12 left to go. Or as of the end of August, I had 12 left to go. In September, I accomplished none of them. And here, I had 11 left to go, at the end of August. In September, I accomplished none of them, or maybe one. Either way, I came into October with 39 of the 52 plays completed. And I completed 2 this month without a significant effort. 2 isn't great, but there it is. The 2 I played, play a game whose title begins with the last letter of your previous game. So the previous game on the list ended with a K, and that means the game that I had to play needed to start with a K. And I did play Kingsburg this month, so I counted that. The other one is play a game with a harbor. Now the game A Touch of Evil has in one of the expansions a harbor where a ghost ship has crashed and there's a lighthouse and everything. So I did play that this month. So I've played a game with a harbor, meaning I'm at 41 out of the 52 challenges, meaning I have 11 left. So for the next 2 months, I actually made a list of the 11 rather than working from the list of ones that I'm completed. I made that separate list so I can really focus on trying to get all 11 done, because I finished it last year and it was really fun and I really want to get it done this year. So if I'm doing well, I'll have done 6 or more games under that umbrella by next month. Painting challenge. I did make some progress on my painting challenge this month. I painted 2 minis from the game Cerebria. I'm looking forward to painting more, but I got 2 of them done, and I want to keep going on that, in part because I want to play Cerebria sometime before the end of the year, hopefully after I've finished painting the pieces, so we can play with a painted set of the game. All right, I mentioned at the beginning of the episode that my collection size was down. You'll remember that it is a perennial goal of mine to reduce the collection size. Generally, I think 500 is a pretty good number in terms of how many games I should own, and I own quite a few more than that. 571 was the collection size at the beginning of October. So if I'm reducing the size of the game collection, that is a significant amount I need to reduce by. Well, I donated, my son wanted to take Sushi Roll to his high school board game club. I said, go for it. So he donated that. I acquired 2 games, Discworld Ankh-Morpork and Chicago Express, which were being given away free by one of my friends at Toggle Gaming. Brought a few games that he wanted to get rid of, and so I took those. That brought my collection size up to 571. I also got Fuji Flush and Core Worlds Galactic Orders from the garage sale at the Bonus Round Cafe, where I ate lunch this month, meaning we're up to 573. But Brendan, that doesn't sound like a reduction in your collection. It sounds like you're up 3. Well, the Fair Game, my local game store, Fair Game, had a garage sale of their own, and individuals or households are allowed to submit up to 20 games for the sale. And I submitted 20 games for the sale, actually 19, I think. No, 20, it was 20. And of those 20, 15 of them sold. So I got the other 5 back, but now I am at 20, I'm 15 fewer games than I had before, meaning my collection size at the end of October was 558. Here's the games that I sold, and I'll comment a little bit on why I got rid of them. Dingo's Dreams. Well, this is a fun game, but it's extremely light, and we weren't playing it anymore. We weren't playing it anymore is the most common answer. Yeah, so that one's really fun, but not playing it anymore. Last Defense I thought was way too easy. It's a cute game for families, though. Streets. This one I actually didn't like it that much. This is a game that came in an interesting sized box. It's part of a series of games, starting with Villagers, and most recently Moon. These are games all produced by the same person, and the publishing company is producing them in same size boxes, so it's kind of a series. I just didn't like Streets very much. I played it a couple times in person and once online. It's just not my favorite game. It looks really nice, but gameplay, not my thing. So glad to get rid of that. Fuse. It's a fun real-time game, but it's not as good as... See, that's the other thing. With a collection as big as mine, sometimes not as good as another game makes a difference. So Fuse, fun real-time game, not as good as Escape Curse of the Temple. The Captain is Dead. That's a fun cooperative game, but if I'm going to play a big cooperative game, I probably want to play Victoriana, or if I want to do a space one, the Vlada Chavato game, where it's a real-time space game. I can't remember what it's called. It's not called Space Team. Space Alert. That one I think is better, or I like that one better than Captain is Dead, or just Pandemic. Any of those work for me, so I didn't need the Captain is Dead anymore. Radis, along with the Pied Piper expansion. This is one I really did like, but it falls into the category of nobody ever wanted to play it. I mean, I guess I could push it and say, like, I really want to play this game, can we please play it? But there's only so many times I can do that, and I often want to use that for new games. So it was one of those ones that's just gathering dust, and I didn't know when the next time I'd play it would be. And if I never got to play it again, I'm not going to be too sad. So off it goes. Catbox. This is a cute little matching game. We never played it, and it's very simple. So that one went. Res Publica 2230 AD. This one it's a Reiner Knizia re-theme of an older game also called Res Publica. There were a couple times that I learned the rules to this and wanted to play it, but I never really got it played. So I've had it for 4 years and never once played it. And it got to the point where I'm like, it's silly to keep this around if I'm never going to play it. So off it went. Machine of Death is a storytelling game that we played once or twice. I thought it was fine, but not that special, and happy to let someone else try it. School of Sorcery is an interesting 2-player dueler. If we want a short 2-player duel game, something like Schotten or Tides of Madness are both more up my alley, and something I'm going to want to play. If we're looking for something a little longer, your Seven Wonders Duel will do that, or Patchwork. All of those I kind of like better than what's going on in School of Sorcery, so that one can find another home. Science and Seance Society, kind of the same answer as School of Sorcery. The asynchronous elements in that were pretty good, but just, didn't really grab me. The Expanse, I liked this one. It was a card-driven game, but again, it's one of those things where it wasn't getting played. The theme means it's never going to at my house, so that means I'm, spending capital to take it elsewhere. And, if I'm making a list of 10 different games I kind of want to get played or revisit, The Expanse is probably never going to land on that list. So I enjoyed it for what it was. It's an interesting game, but just, the needs of this collection size push it to move on. Ginkgopolis is another one I got rid of. This is a game I really recognize as interesting, but it was it just didn't click for us. And again, I have too many sort of medium weight Euros to hold on to another one that didn't grab us. Cottage Garden, this might be the first time I've gotten rid of an Uwe Rosenberg game. I like it just fine, but it's, tile laying and light, so I have other games in that category from that designer. I can go Patchwork or I can go New York Zoo. I find both of those more interesting than Cottage Garden. If I'm going to go a little heavier, I can go Feast for Odin. And then there's also Barren Park, which Barren Park is sort of in the same spot as Cottage Garden, but better. So, and then finally Princes of Florence. This is a classic Euro game that I thought was really interesting, but it's an auction game. It's a little on the bitey side, and the graphic design and theme were just not that attractive to me. So again, falls in that category of like middleweight Euro. I'm glad to have played it, but I'm also glad to pass it along to somebody else who will play it more. So those are the 15 games that I got rid of at the Fair Game garage sale. I haven't looked to see how much money I get in credit from the store, but the way that their store works is you get 80, you mark the games whatever you want, minimum price is $5. On the first day of the sale, everything is full price. Second day of the sale, everything is 20% off of whatever price you had. So if I had a game marked $5 and it sold on the second day, it sold for $3.50. And then whatever it sold for, I get 80% of that in store credit. So I don't imagine I have a ton of money at the store because I price these things to move. I price them pretty low, but I have some. It'll mean the next time I buy a full price game at Fair Game, it's probably going to be free or cheap. So that's fun. And my collection is smaller. So I did acquire one expansion as well. I got the Isle of Skye Journeyman expansion. I also bought that at the Bonus Round Cafe garage sale. Finally, my top 50 challenge. I have just a few games left to play on that. Android Netrunner, Cerebria, Vampire the Eternal Struggle, Terra Mystica, and Trismegistus. Terra Mystica I'm playing right now online, and I think that's the best I'm going to do. I really want to get Trismegistus and Cerebria played before the end of the year. I've given up on the idea of playing Netrunner and Vampire. If I play Netrunner, I'm going to fall back into it, so I shouldn't play it for a while at least. And Vampire, I'm sure people playing it online, but I just haven't. It's a lot of extra lift to get that back to the table. So we'll see how that affects its spot in my top 50. Finally, the last thing is what games I'm going to play in November. I am going to keep Vagrant Song on my list. That's my stubborn choice. I really want to play that. For my solo choice, I'm going to put in Hadrian's Wall. I may play that with other people, or I may find a time to play by myself if I have an evening. On my top 50 choice is going to be Trismegistus. I need to reread the rules for that, but I think I can probably get it out at Toggle Gaming one of these nights. And for my top choice, I'm going to pick Apollo, inspired by the NASA moon missions. This is a game I got at Goodwill. It looks pretty interesting. It's a cooperative game, and I think I should be able to get it played sooner rather than later. So that's it for my November. That's it for my October. How did yours go? Head over to Board Game Geek Guild 3269 and share your experiences in the comments. I'd love to hear what you played, what you're going to play next month, and just check in with everybody. Thanks for sticking with me and joining me on my walk today. I hope your next walk is as pleasant as mine was. Bye-bye.
Brought to you by Rattlebox Games.